Hey again, and welcome. My name is Jesse Benedetti, and I am the owner and founder of JB Hit Online Virtual Training, High Intensity Interval Training. The link is below if you want to check one of the classes out for free. Just go to my website, www.jbhit.com. Try them out. They're daily classes, 13 a week, and a video on demand if you want. Now, up until this point, I haven't said much over the past few weeks, couple of months. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations happening, just like everybody else. We all go through our own things. We all have our crosses to bear. But I thought it was time to get back into this, because if you are listening to anything I'm saying, if you take my classes, if you go and talk to me in real life or in person, anything like that, you'll know that I always want people to achieve the most that they can achieve. And that's not easy, because we settle down and we get in our mind of what we think we can do or what we think is possible based on experience, life experiences, the wrong decisions. If you've ever heard the phrase, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, and you don't really know what it means, or you know what it means, or you think you know what it means, and it just, there's things in your life that you've tried and it's just not for you. Common things that I've heard in my former dance career, as a ballroom and Latin dancer, also now as a fitness trainer, is it just doesn't work for me. It's not for me. And my body, I know my body differently than this, and my body's that, and my body's that. It's to a different for to a different to agree to a degree. Yes, that's true. You know your body. You know what it's capable of, to a certain degree, and you know what it's not capable of. And to think that your excuses are more special than somebody else's, it's just not right. Because what you have to realize is, for everything that you complain about or making excuses for, say that they're your reasons, not excuses, there's somebody else out there that has twice as many excuses, reasons, whatever you have, downfalls, setbacks, and they're still achieving twice as much. So the difference between you and the difference between them is nothing more than persistence, continuance, discipline, all these things that are hard to have for you and hard to have for other people. So I'm coming today to talk about how to prepare to fail, because you should prepare to fail. If you don't prepare to fail, you're going to fail once, and it's going to shake the world beneath you, and you're not going to have no recover from it. I've seen it happen numerous times. People that have not gone through any adversity, or they think that they've gone through adversity, and it just turns out that all they're doing, all that's happened to them is they've just had one setback in their life. That one setback has cost them tons of things in their life, tons of opportunities that they could have had, should have had, would have had, all the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and things like that. So my goal to you is to help make sure that you prepare to fail, so that you can be proactive and not just reactive. And that's what most people, the majority of people in the world today, are reactionary. And that's why they wait for things to happen, or they count themselves out before they even start, or they have no idea how long it is to get to where they want to go. So let me give you a story from my life. Before I got into fitness, I was a professional ballroom and Latin dancer. Some of you may or may not know that. I did it for 15 plus years. I achieved a lot of great things in my career. I was a world champion, a US champion twice. I had students that I taught to be champions themselves. And I was the best teacher in the country for a short amount of time. So, but all of that came with a price to pay, and it came with a lot of sacrifice, and it came with a lot of work ethic, and a lot of discipline, a lot of failure. It came with a lot of failure. So I'll talk about my professional dance career, because that took a long time to get to where it was, and I kept thinking of the same excuses. It's just not for me. Maybe I'm not doing it right, or my body doesn't adapt, or anything like that. So before I got into dancing when I was 18 years old. Make a long story short, to get to the more important meat and potatoes of it, I was dancing for years, and coming in last place in my dancing. I thought I just don't have as much of a head start as a lot of these people. I started when I was 18 years old with no music background, no dance background. I was just an athlete in school. I wrestled, played baseball, Played football since I was like 6 years old. I was an athlete. So I like the athletic part of dancing, and I like the competitive part of it, because after high school, I thought I was not going to be able to compete in anything at a high level again. And as soon as I saw that competition and was part of the ballroom dance world, dance sport is competitive dancing, I fell in love with it, and it just never looked back. But I also had the belief in myself that I was going to win. That as soon as I saw the top people in the world on video, it was VHS at the time, back in 1998. As soon as I saw those people, I didn't see any difference between them and me. Yeah, they had a head start. They were older, or they were wiser, or they had worked harder, but that wasn't going to outdo me. They weren't going to outwork me. They might have had a 10, 15, 20-year head start. I didn't care. So that was step one. Believe in yourself, obviously. Now that only goes so far. Then you have to realize other things have to happen. I danced for years. I was danced for probably about 7 years, coming in last place over and over and over again. My coaches would tell me that I needed to lean out a little bit. I thought I knew what that meant. At one time, I had gotten 50 pounds heavier than I am now, and I just felt like I wasn't getting the right marks in the dancing because it was a political thing, or I hadn't paid my dues or whatever. After 7 years, I just had to keep doing it. And I tried to hire a personal trainer, and the personal trainer just, they weren't even keeping themselves in shape. So it was hard for me to take them seriously. So that didn't last very long. I thought maybe it's just the choreography. If I had the right choreography, that's what it's going to be. So in 2004, I was living in Florida, and I went to Fort Walton Beach, where some of the top dancers in my category live and own a studio, own the region, or actually now president of the Fred Astaire Dance Corporation, Luann and Bruno. And I went to Bruno and spent the whole weekend getting choreography. It was beautiful. We were gonna make it work. And at the end of it, Bruno set me down and he said, "Listen, dude, I can tell you all the things in the world that's going to make you better, and I can keep working at it and keep improving this and keep improving that. But the end of the day is you're fat, and you need to lose some weight to be taken seriously." Now that was a slap in the face, and if I wasn't so shocked, I wouldn't even know how to respond to it. But he was saying it from a place out of care. And I'm not the type of person that needs to hear something sugar-coated, so that's exactly what I needed to hear. And he said, "Listen, the champions look like champions, and the judges want to judge somebody that will represent what a champion should look like in your division. How you look, how you dress, how you act, how you talk, how you think, how you move, how you walk, everything. So you've got to lose some weight, or they're not even going to give you a fair shot. Whether that's fair or not, that's life. So that's all there is to it. You can be the best dancer in the world, you have the best choreography in the world, and you're not going to win." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I'll do it. Whatever you say. I don't like to have the excuse that I didn't try this or I didn't try that. I didn't like being that person that says, well, I've tried everything and nothing works. So I was going to try again. I was going to go out and hire a better personal trainer. So I got a woman named Cynthia Davey, who is a fitness competitor, and her husband was a bodybuilder champion and sponsored athlete, things like that. And I hired her to train me. And for 6 months, 3 times a week, I saw her. And then the other days that I didn't see her, I was doing cardio. And on the top of that, I was still working full time at the dance studio down in Fort Myers. And I was just pushing and slaving away at my dancing and my craft and everything like that. So after 3 months, I saw a drastic increase in my health, my fitness. I had lost 25 pounds, and I had gone down. No, that's a lie. I had lost 35 pounds. I was down all the way down, much lower, leaner, and that same choreography a year later. So fast forward a year later, same choreography that I got for Bruno. We went to the national championships in Chicago, Illinois at the time, and we won. It was a Fred Astaire National, so it was a smaller type thing. It wasn't open up to the world. It wasn't open up to the whole nation, but it was Fred Astaire, and it's a big organization with hundreds of studios across the world. So it was a very big deal. And that's what it took for me to understand that I hadn't tried everything. I hadn't done everything. So we're going to take that. We did okay with that, and I went through another partner and all that kind of good stuff. And then I fast forward a little bit more into 2008. 2008, we had done well. The partner at the time, I was in Fort Walton Beach. I actually moved and started training under those people that gave me the choreography, Bruno and Luann. I was working under them now. I had taken a huge demotion from owning a studio, running it, managing a studio, to just instructing again because I wanted to take my professional career a little bit more seriously, and I had a hard time juggling that. So I knew where I could push and where I needed help, and that was one of those things. So started working with Bruno again, started doing all this kind of stuff, and eventually one of my dreams came true. One of my dreams came true, and we got invited to a invitation only world championships. They invite the top 7 couples from around the world, and we got invited to this in Blackpool, England. Now that was a big deal, and I felt like I had to have my game ready. I had the choreography. I was lean, but okay, I could probably get leaner. And I was still in that mindset that I just, 6-pack wasn't in my heritage. I couldn't get a 6-pack. I couldn't get the abs, but I was going to do whatever it took if I had other options. I mean, I've done the training. That didn't get me there. Personal training. I had worked hard at that. I ate better, and that didn't get me there. I didn't know what else to do. So one December, 2008, I was watching TV, and an infomercial came on late at night from Beachbody. It was a P90X commercial with Tony Horton, if you've never seen it. And something about that spoke to me. I don't know why. I'm not a person that believes in infomercials as much, and they're all gimmicky and all that kind of stuff. But I was at my wit's end. I couldn't figure out any other way. So I thought, what's the worst? I'll try it, and it doesn't work, and I can rule that out, check that off. That didn't work for me. So I checked it all. I ordered it about a week later. It was still about a week or two before the new year, before 2009. And I read through everything. I was going to be prepared. January 1st, I was going to hit the ground running. I was going to do everything I knew to do. As P90X, it's going to be 90 days, and I'll be a total body transformation. Now, keep in mind, I'd already transformed my body from 220. Now it's down to 285. So I thought I was already that was my stable point. So what more could I have done? I just didn't have the body type for that. And I was going to prove it to all the experts out there. I didn't have the body type for that. So that when somebody came and said, you need to try this, I could say, yeah, I tried that, didn't work. I tried that, didn't work. Just like multiple people do with multiple things. So I stuck to it for 3 months, and it changed my life. Not necessarily the program. Yes, it took me by the hand, told me what to do, read through it, worked through it, but I had to put the work in myself. And I went from 185 pounds down to 163 pounds. And I was at around 12 to 13% body fat. And I went down to 8% body fat. Guess what? I had my 6-pack. Anything under 10 or under for men, you can start seeing the abs, and you could definitely see them. And I didn't realize it because I was living in my own world, and see myself every day. And I didn't realize it until I went to a Fred Astaire national competition in Las Vegas in 2009. And one of the numbers we did, me and my professional partner, involved me being without a shirt on. I thought, well, I mean, I'm at least lean, so I'll look decent. After I performed that, people who hadn't seen me for a while or hadn't seen me in the past few months came up to me and just raved about how I looked and how chiseled I was and all this kind of stuff. And I realized that I just hadn't done enough or learned enough or found the path that I needed to go. By this time now, it had been 11 years that I had been in the business. And we had won little things now since back when I told you back in 2004, 2005, and here and there. And I had thought I'd reached my peak, and I just had to keep paying my dues. And then that year, at 2009, we went and we won the Venice, Italy Dance Sport Championships. Then a couple of months later, about a month later, we placed second at that Invitational World Championships in Blackpool, England, and beating the current United States champions in that competition. There was another couple from South Africa that won, but we came in second. The current US champions at that time came in fourth. Then we came back, and in September of 2009, we won our first United States professional championship. And it was 11 years it took me to get to where I wanted to be. Any excuse in the world could have come through there. And there was a lot of stuff that happened, because when you're chasing your dreams and you're chasing your goals, anything and everything will pop up. deaths, unemployment, breakups with your girlfriend, breakups with your significant other, divorce, anything that you could possibly imagine will come up. And anything did come up during that time. I was almost let go from my managerial position. I moved. I went through a lot of trials and tribulations during all that time. And I just persevered. I had the mindset that it was going to be attrition. I was going to outlast everybody else because I wanted it more than everybody else. Now, I say all that not to humbly brag on myself. I know what I've done, and I'm confident with what I've done, and I realize what I'm trying to explain to you is that sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you think that you've tried everything and you think that you've given it your all, and you think and you think and you think and you feel you're confident with it, and you just haven't. You just haven't. You have to find ways if you want it bad enough. And that's where you get to find out. It's exciting. That's where you get to find out if you want something badly enough and what you want badly enough. Because if you're not willing to go through all of the sacrifice, if you're not willing to sacrifice to get to your goals, you're going to sacrifice your goals. So you get a choice all the time. I could have easily just stayed teaching and stayed making good money, decent money, gone on, opened another studio, done this, done that, and been fine. But that's not what I wanted. And I sacrificed relationships. I sacrificed family time. I sacrificed a lot of things. And I went through a lot of bad, but I also went through a lot of good, because if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if you can't see the light through the darkness, if you can't see all of these cliches, if you can't see it, you're not going to fight for it anyways. Because when you're at your worst, at your down deepest part, you're hitting rock bottom, or at least you think you've hit rock bottom, you've got to envision, be able to see what it is that's going to pull you right back up again and kick you in the ass and make you move forward. Now, maybe you don't have that. Maybe you're still looking for that, and that's fine. But I promise you, if you just work hard enough, you will eventually find something that you want so badly that you'll work even harder for. Now, as you get older, these things start to go away. It's almost kind of like believing in the tooth fairy, believing in Santa Claus, or believing in magic, or believing in anything. We start getting older and we start thinking that we know more, and we start getting smarter or wiser. And that's just a bunch of bullshit. We're not smarter. We're not wiser. We're full of our own lies. We're full of our own excuses. And our excuses seem more and more credible. I've been through all kinds of up and down, and it's not about me. It's about what you've been through and what you're going to go through. Now you have a choice. You can let that trauma that you go through or have been through change you for the worse or change you for the better. But you always have a choice. And sometimes it changes you for the worse before it changes you for the better. But at the end of it, you have to have that understanding that that's what it means. If you don't prepare, then you will fail. But you have to prepare to fail, and you have to have that plan B, plan C, plan D. Then when this happens, this is what I'm going to do. Because when it finally happens, it was just like Mike Tyson you said a long time ago. We all have a plan until we get hit in the mouth. So that's paraphrasing, obviously, but it's the same thing. We all know what we're going to do. We're all okay. I'm going to do this. 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 And then all of a sudden, you step into it, and this comes up, and this comes up, and you're like, well, I'll pick it up next time. I'll pick it up next time. And all of a sudden, it's been 10 years. And you don't know what's happened to time. You don't know what's happened to your life. You're settled down, and you just don't know where the last decade has been. Just for example, beginning of this year, we've done a year of the pandemic, and beginning of 2021, I said, okay, I'm motivated to re-energize myself. I'm gonna get in better shape again, just to feel better about myself. It was all personal things. And then the first week into it, my dad dies unexpectedly. 2 weeks into it, I was diagnosed again with bladder cancer. So it's like all the excuses were there. All the reasons were there. I had to have surgery to take the tumor out. I had to have a stent put into my bladder for a month where I couldn't really do anything, the worst pain. It was just a bunch of reasons that nobody would have second guessed. But I turned that into an opportunity for myself. I wound up losing about 15 to 17 pounds. Now the muscle wasn't there as much because I couldn't really do a lot of stuff, and it took a lot of walking to lose the weight. And that's what happens when you take one path that worked for you before and it doesn't work for you again. You have to be able to go to another path. You have to be able to adjust and adapt. And that's the difference between people right now in the pandemic and the people that are succeeding and the people that are not succeeding, that have a hard time. They had one way of life and they don't know how to adapt and they don't know how to adjust. It's hard. I'm not trying to discount any of this. It's hard damn work to do, adapting, to adjust to different things and to turn something better. It's a lot easier to tell you to do it. It's a lot easier to say I've been through it. It's a lot easier to do all this stuff. But it's at the end of the story, or at the end of the day, it's what you got to do for yourself and what means something to you. So it meant something to me to do that. I over the past year, I could have gone deeper and deeper into depression, trying to find myself. I could have gone deeper and deeper into financial debt. I could have done a lot of different things because everybody has the best excuse out there now. It's a pandemic, and we're just waiting for things to get better. We're just waiting for this and waiting for that. But I decided to take action. I started my own online virtual fitness business, and my goal was to make the workouts as good, if not better, than anything that you could have done at any gym, any boutique fitness, any HIIT gym, anything like that, and to make it as good and you could have it to carry me around with you anywhere in the world. So I wanted it to be something that was challenging also. It meant a lot to me that I am out there helping people achieve their goals, just like I had people helping me achieve my goals. I didn't do anything by myself. So that was one thing. And I moved from New York City into Stamford, Connecticut. I changed a lot of things, and I took the ability or the opportunities that were there and didn't focus completely on all the negativity. Now, don't get me wrong, the first month, 2 months, 3 months, I was really down in the dirt. I was just, okay, I'll just wait it out. Eventually things will open up back up again. And then I realized, in June, July or so of last year, 2020, I was like, nothing's changing, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So if I want things to change for myself, then I've got to change them. And I did. I took the action of doing that. So that's what I'm talking about. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. That's what it means. When stuff comes up, you've got to be ready to go right if it's coming at you from the left. You got to zig when you got to zag, when you're supposed to zag. You got to be able to have multiple paths to go down. If you put all your eggs in one basket, to give more cliches, then eventually something's going to happen to all those eggs, and you're going to miss out on a lot of great things. You've got to have the gumption and the grit and the moxie and the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude, to want something bad enough that's going to pick you up and do it again. And at the end of it, you got to make sure you realize, is it something that you're doing for yourself? Because you could use everybody else out there in the world to use as motivation. And it's unless it's maybe your child that you're working this hard for, it's just not going to be the same. You've got to want it for you, and you've got to be strong for you, because if you're not strong for you, you're not going to be strong for anybody else. That's in any relationship, that's in any type of situation with anybody else. You've got to be confident in yourself, and you've got to push yourself to that next level, and you've got to want it bad enough. And you've got to realize you're going to fail. If you're afraid of failing, let me ease your troubles right now. You're going to fail. If you're afraid of succeeding because you don't think that you can sustain that over time, let me ease your woes. You're going to fail when you succeed, but you're going to get up and you're going to be better. And it's hard when you're at the bottom of it to see that. And you don't want people to keep telling you it's going to get better, it ebbs and flows, and all of these things. You don't want to hear all that when you're at the bottom of it, but you've got to keep on telling yourself that, and you got to keep on reminding yourself that you're worth every single part of it. You've got to have the resilience and the ability to want more from yourself, because you can have anything. You can have anything. I went from being an 18-year-old, Knoxville, Tennessee, high school graduate with zero dance background, zero musical background, and in 11 years became a world and United States professional champion in ballroom and Latin dancing against some of the greatest people out there. And the people I beat, some of them were better than me. Some of them were better than everything, but they just didn't have the heart. They didn't have the desire. They gave up too easily. They quit too quickly. Whatever the reasons are, it left the opportunity open for me. And that's what it's going to happen for you if you want it bad enough. It may not happen today, next week, next year. If you're looking for immediate gratification, you're just going to have a lifetime of frustration. You've got to make sure you understand you can't shortcut success. You can't cut the corners off. You don't want to cut the corners off. You want to treat it like it's a cake. The cakes are the best corners because that's where all the icing is. That's what life is. That's all the adversity. You should embrace it, because that's what's making you who you are. If you run away from it, you're running away from who you could be. Don't run from your challenges. Run into embrace your challenges. That's how you're going to get to where you want to go to. If you want it badly enough, you'll find a way. Now, if you don't want it badly enough, that's fine, but change what it is. Don't talk about it, do something about it. If you want something, go for it. It's not about what you talk about, it's what the actions that you put behind it. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because there's been a lot of this going on in the past few months, in the past year. Everybody's down, and we've just got to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves truthfully and honestly, am I doing what I want to be doing? Am I doing it? And not give the excuses. Yeah, but it would be easier for this. It'd be easier for a lot of things. You know, if I had somebody else's life, it'd be easier. If I had that life, it'd be easier. If I had this, it'd be easier. There's always ways that you could talk yourself out of why it's too hard. Now do something about it instead of talking about it. Because the more that you talk about it, the longer it's going to take for you to get to where you want to go. You can't stand somewhere and get to your final destination. You've got to move forward every single time, every day, every minute. Even if you're failing, even if you're falling down, no matter what, move forward in it. So I hope this has helped. I hope you realize, like, our problems aren't the special problems out there. There's people out there with worse problems, like I said before, that are doing twice as much because they're using those problems for the good instead of letting them hinder us and holding us back. So use your problems, embrace the challenges, embrace the adversity, and use it to make you better instead of using it as an excuse of why you can't. Use it as the excuse of why you are getting to where you want to go. Hope this has helped. If there's anything else, just drop some comments below. Subscribe if you like what you hear. If you got any comments, questions, concerns, let me know about it. I hope to see you in class one day if you want to try it out. First one's on me. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.